Welcome to this special segment of our County Executive Series on CAG Chat. Today, we sit down with Tonya Sweat, a candidate for Prince George's County Executive, to jump into her leadership style, vision, qualifications, and plans for the future of our county. With a unique 18-month term ahead, every decision will count. Let's hear how Mrs. Sweat plans to tackle the challenges and opportunities facing Prince George's County. Good day to you, Ms. Sweat. Welcome on the CAG
Good
Chat.
day. Good
So,
day. Thank you for having me.
so who is Tonya Sweat?
Who is Tonya Sweat? Tonya Sweat is green at the moment. My crazy camera. I got to get this thing fixed. I am
Going
a
home.
wife, a mother. I'm a Christian woman. I'm a veteran, a United States Air Force veteran. I'm a 27-year attorney. I'm a litigator, former federal regulator. Banking and finance was my specialty. And I'm a proud Prince Georgian. I'm a part of this community. And like everybody else, I want to see us thrive.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Mrs. Sweat, you had such a diverse career from serving in the military, as you just stated, working in the federal government, and even running a restaurant. Which role has taught you the most surprising lesson about leadership?
Wow. You did your homework. Yes, I did run a restaurant for a little bit. Um, Running a restaurant actually was a big lesson. Being a veteran in the military, they teach you and they develop you as a leader. Those skills aren't tried until in the military you go to war. Or for me, literally becoming an entrepreneur and having to run a business and work with customers every day with different personalities, different desires, different wants, and then having to manage staff and getting them to understand that they were a reflection of my business. How you treat people is how people will see me, not how they see you. So that was a big test of my leadership ability and my ability to motivate staff, one, to be good in customer service, and two, teaching them how to deal with the public.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something they taught us in the military, that you have to motivate your subordinates and, find out what their needs or wants are. And, that's how we
Absolutely.
kind of come to a common point. So absolutely, I love that. That's something that you carry on, throughout your life.
Yeah.
You've called yourself a bit of a nerd, and I love that because I am too. What's one book or show or topic you could talk about for hours that people might not expect from you?
You know, I'm gonna have to go here. I am a devout Christian, but I don't wear my religion on my sleeve.
Mhm.
You get me going in a good Bible conversation, and you'd be surprised the scriptures, one, that come out of my mouth.
Mhm.
And you'd also be shocked about how I have applied the word to my daily living.
Yeah.
And so every now and again, I catch people off guard. I'll say it this way, because they'll say things to me, and literally my initial response is to come back with something from the Bible and
Mhm.
explain how I apply it in my life. And they go, "Sweat, I didn't know you were a preacher too." I'm like, "I'm not a preacher."
Yeah, let them use you.
There it is.
And it is the basic instructions before leaving Earth. You spent over 2 decades in the DMV area. What's your favorite hidden gem in Prince George's County that you think everyone should know about? Now,
Oh,
you
wow.
don't really have to let everybody know if you don't want to, because I wouldn't, but you can take that one.
To be honest with you, hidden gem. Look, what is wrong with my camera? But anyway, hidden gem. I live in the southern part of the county. I live down in Accokeek, the southernmost point in Prince George's County. And there are a couple places, Accokeek and Fort Washington, the Fort Washington National Park. And if you don't know where you're going, you won't find them. So I don't mind sharing.
I know that's right.
But there are a couple areas along the Potomac River.
Mhm.
Um, they're phenomenally peaceful. And when I have time and I'm just not, it's like I need to get away, but I can't get away.
Mhm.
I can get in my car and drive from my house about 5, 10 minutes, and I'm
Right.
literally sitting on the water, and I can reconnect with nature in a way that revitalizes me like nothing else in this world.
Yeah, I definitely get it. I personally enjoy kayaking in Prince George's County. I met someone on Facebook, and she loved it, and I was like, "Take me," and that's how we met. And I love kayaking.
See, it's all about nature.
It
We're
is.
one.
It
You
is.
got to connect.
Yeah. This is your second time running for county executive, but this time there is no incumbent. How does this differ for you this time around? And do you believe the county is cliquish unless and you're an outcast unless you kiss the ring?
Heavy questions, my brother. Heavy questions. Um, this time I'll say is different because you're right. There is no incumbent. And so there's not that attitude of we're obligated or we feel like we have to give somebody a second term.
Mhm.
That was a big challenge in 2022, because I was running, and you did too. Congratulations to you.
Thank
We
you.
ran against the incumbent, and there were
Absolutely.
people. I don't care how you feel about incumbents. There are still voters out there who think we deserve a second term. I
Mhm.
elected you once, so I got to get you again. And so it's a challenge to overcome that hurdle.
Yeah, it absolutely
I'm
is a challenge to overcome that hurdle.
Yep, and I'm glad that one's not here this time. I'm still dealing with, name recognition is still
Mhm.
a big issue now.
Absolutely.
I'm still dealing with being the new kid on the block or the fresh
Mhm.
face. But I think the last 2 years have allowed me to establish myself a little bit more in the community. People have heard my name now. They know my voice now. They've learned a little bit more about me. So this time, I'm just kind of kicking dust off the old crusty wheels, if you will.
I hear that. So you've got an impressive resume, but running the county isn't like running a business or drafting regulations.
Right.
It's managing a massive, complex system of government. So tell me, what makes you the right person to lead a county of nearly a million residents with such diverse needs?
Right. You're absolutely right. The biggest thing is, I'll say this, and I don't talk about this part of my resume much or my experience. Another thing you learn in the military, I was an officer. And as an officer, you literally from day one, you're given a staff and you have to manage that staff. And so I've been groomed since I was about 23, 24 years old, okay, to lead a team of people to accomplish a mission. And I'm grateful that I have grown in that and progressed in that part of my career, such that by the time I became a federal regulator, my last job with the federal government, I was a director of a nationwide team of examiners, and I had my own budget to manage. Um, I had to order staff to get on a plane and go to a bank or credit union or a lender to do investigations, to do examinations, to do inspections. So I had significant amount of authority, and I was fairly young. I'm just 52. I was doing that in my 40s.
Right. Definitely, I
The,
get that.
yeah,
As even, airmen in the military, a lot of people don't understand um, the skill set that is instilled in military members because, as you were a young lieutenant, I was a young airman. And, we go through airman leadership school, and I was
yep,
barely, 21, and I was already managing three or four people at that time
absolutely,
already. So,
absolutely.
I definitely understand that. What do you think is the single most critical issue the county is facing?
Right now, like the state itself is budget.
Mhm.
It's budget. Um, Unfortunately, money makes the world turn when these days. And the state is now running a deficit. Prince George's County has a significant deficit. And because of that, we're hamstrung in everything else we need to do to support our residents. So we've got to get a handle on the county's budget and address the deficit. And we've got to come up with creative solutions to reduce that and get back to a balanced budget. And not only that, we have to come up with new revenue streams because we're breaking homeowners' backs.
Right.
Matter of fact, today I just got out of my mailbox my new tax assessment.
Mhm.
My taxes are
Yeah.
going to go up,
Yeah.
projected to go up through 20 fiscal year 2027. But how much
Yeah.
can homeowners take?
Mhm.
So we've
And
got to come up with other ways to raise revenue to provide services for our citizens.
and what form of revenue would you attempt to raise?
Commercial tax base.
Mhm.
We have to build a commercial tax base. And I'll be more specific. In my administration, that commercial tax base will be focused around sports and entertainment
Okay.
because we can use sports and entertainment in Prince George's County to attract tourism.
Mhm.
The elephant in the room right now is the Commanders. Are they going to Washington, D.C.? Are they going back to RFK? Well, if you elect me as county executive, I'm going to fight like hell to keep them here. The
No,
lease
that's
does
right.
not end until 2027. We need them.
Mhm.
And I will be the first to acknowledge and apologize to the Commanders organization because the county has not given them the respect that they've garnered. We've not recognized them as one of our constituents and one of our citizens. I will change that because I need them to stay here so that we can build around and support them. And in doing that, we will improve our own economy and our own revenue.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on that note, and because as you mentioned, well, lesser known candidates battle with name recognition or being tested or proven to be able to show how they have managed certain incidents. This special election is unique in the sense that the term is only 18 months.
Right.
And with the next county executive need to step in on day one to address immediate challenges like the budget crisis, as you mentioned, ongoing economic recovery, and potential navigating a tumultuous federal landscape, with the new administration. Do you believe there will
Yes.
be a learning curve for you in this role? And if so, can the county afford to wait while you get up to speed on the ins and outs of local governance?
For me personally, no, there's no learning curve.
Mhm.
And there's no learning curve for me because I've lived in the DMV since December of 1999. Having served in the United States Air Force, my last assignment was at Andrews. Having worked in the federal government, I know every single federal agency in this area, and I still have contacts with every single one of them. Having worked in budget and finance and focused on banking regulation, I know about money. You hear me? I know the Federal Reserve System. I know where the money hides. I know where you can find it. I know that there are private foundations out there that have grants, offer grants to local jurisdictions. We've never applied for, fought for, even asked for that money. I know where to go get it. So for me personally, there's not going to be a learning curve. The one challenge I know I'm going to have, because I'm already hearing it from current staff members in our local government, they're going to leave because many of our directors, many of our senior employees in the county government, they're loyal to their former leader, and that's okay. That happens a lot in government. And so the challenge for me is going to be recruiting experienced, qualified, and skilled directors because I cannot run this government by myself. So that may be the challenge in an 18-month term, because I may end up having to ask the county council to affirm or confirm new directors in our government. But because of how our system works, if I win the primary in March, I got a 3-month head start to start that transition and recruit those people. So day one, we can hit the ground running.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. And as you mentioned, you're gonna select the best persons possible. So your administration will have to appoint key department directors and agency heads. What qualities or qualifications will you prioritize in your leadership team to ensure the county operates effectively to meet their goals?
Qualities that I'm looking for are leaders, qualified, skilled, competent leaders who are not afraid to implement creative and sometimes radical solutions to affect change and bring about success for our citizens. We have to do a new thing. I tell people, I live in Prince George's County. I'm a Prince Georgian and I'm tired of the insanity. And the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing, expecting a different result. I want new and different, and I'm going to demand new and different from any director on my team. And if you're not willing to do that, if I got to hold your hand and lead you through that, we're going to have problems because the county's too big. I don't have time to hold everybody's hand. And so that's why I harp on the need for skilled, experienced, qualified directors who are willing to take the reins and use their expertise to get it done.
And in your search for that, are you looking within the county or you're going to spread your wings and opened up to anyone
Always start
in
at home.
jurisdiction. Hmm.
Always start at home. Nobody takes care of home better than home.
I know that's
And let me
right.
tell you something. Hiding in the shadows of Prince George's County, we have a lot of people who can do it.
Hmm.
You asked earlier, and I didn't answer the question whether we were cliquish.
Hmm.
That's a touchy subject, Sherman.
Hmm.
I didn't, and I almost didn't answer the question, and I'm going to answer it. We're human.
Hmm.
We associate with people who are most like us. We assimilate with those who are most like us. So
And
all
to our
humans are
detriment,
cliquish.
and at
Yes,
some point we have to realize that that does us more harm at times than
then
good.
good. Absolutely. And so anybody who knows me well will tell you Tonya is not cliquish.
Hmm.
I will go out there and recruit the person that you tell me I'm not going to like. I was a kid in school who took the teacher that my classmates said were the worst teachers in the world, and they turned out to be the best teachers for me. So I'm going to start at home recruiting those people who've not had the opportunity to serve because I see something in them that wasn't seen before. And there's a possibility, you mentioned the new federal administration, we may have some people at home who may need jobs.
Hmm.
So, yes, we want to recruit, reclaim, and bring that experience back to Prince George's County and put it to work.
Yes, yes. And on several occasions, you stated you execute, not legislate. Yet much of your
Yes.
described experience writing policy, drafting regulation sounds more
Mhm.
like legislative work than direct implementation. Can you clarify your past roles and how they align that of an executive versus a legislative governance?
Absolutely. You, I'm hiring you. I need your resume because you are a very astute young man. The unique thing about serving in the executive branch of the federal government, because all of my experience, whether military or banking regulator, was in the executive branch. And the unique thing about the federal government is the executive branch has the authority to write administrative rules, policies, or regulations. So, yes, it is like a semi legislative type of position. And when you're a lawyer, you're the writer. So, I did a lot of that in the federal government.
Yeah, but the
On
county
top of
executive
that,
seat does policy as well.
absolutely, absolutely. So that transitions right over into local
Mhm.
government. Man, you okay, I'm thinking right now exactly where I'm gonna put you. So when I call you, don't run. But anyway, I digress. So,
Mhm.
but the other thing about the executive branch is all of the policies and procedures that we wrote, we then had to implement them. These are the rules. Now we got to get them done. In the military, and you know this being an airman yourself,
Mhm. Cool.
we plan, and then we
Absolutely.
execute.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have to think
That's
on the
what I've been
strategic
doing
level
my
and the
entire
tactical
career.
level.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. And so writing policies and regulations in the executive branch literally is the plan. And when it's time to get it done, you get it done.
Mhm.
And lots of times that means you're handing it off to somebody to do or fulfill the instructions that you've
Yeah.
written. So that's what I'll be doing as a county executive.
Delegate, as we
That's it.
say.
That's it.
Mrs. Sweat, the senior tax credit has been a significant topic of discussion in Prince George's County, particularly
Yes.
as many seniors struggle with the rising cost of living and property taxes. As you said, a few moments ago, you got your bill. I ain't looking at mine. How would your administration approach the senior tax credit? Would you expand, modify, or maintain the program as it currently exists, or would you ensure it is both accessible, sustainable for the county budget?
That's a challenging question on a couple of fronts. I appreciate and support the senior tax credit. We need it because the cost of living in this area is extremely high. Everybody acknowledges that. But there are a couple of challenges, both in state law and in county ordinance, that makes implementing the senior tax credit difficult. And we still have not gotten over those hurdles, and we got to figure them out. One of the challenges is the state law and the way state law is written. There's a limit on the amount of tax credits any homeowner can get. We already have the homestead tax credit, which is 20%. And then volunteer firefighters and public servants get tax credits, and the other groups get tax credits. So now we're adding another tax credit on top of that, and there's a cap. There's a cap. the senior tax credit itself was going to take some homeowners over that cap, which is why the state came back and said you can't do it. Can't do it. So now we're trying to amend that ordinance to make the adjustment for our seniors, and they're still not getting the full benefit of the intent of the law. Another issue we got to deal with or understand is TRIM, taxpayer relief in Maryland. Prince George's County is the only county that has that as a part of our tax ordinance and our charter. Voters put it there. Voters have to take it away. And until voters repeal it, we're stuck with it. So we've got to figure out how we're going to work within TRIM and within the state laws, tax laws, to make that elderly tax credit work. And trust me, that's going to be one of the first things General Counsel in the Office of Law is going to get from me. Figure out how we fix this so we can make that recommendation to the county council, because it's good for our citizens. We just got to figure out how to make it work.
And you've noted your ability to beat the rules all day, every day. How do you reconcile this approach with maintaining transparency and building consensus in a public-facing role?
Yes. Yeah, I tell people all the time, I will beat you with the rules all day, because that's what I was trained to do. I play by the rules. And so in the government, another benefit to my federal experience, in federal government, we have the Sunshine Act. Everything is in the sunshine. That's what we call it. Everything is out for the public to see. In the state of Maryland, we have the Open Meetings Act, which is a little bit different. And it doesn't guarantee the same type of transparency that the federal government guarantees. I'll tell anybody, I go back to my roots. We are a democracy of the people, by the people, for the people. Everything in my administration will be transparent. So I'm going to go far beyond what the Open Meetings Act requires in the state of Maryland. We're going to post it on the internet. If you want email, sign up. We'll email it to you. But everything done in my administration, you'll be able to go back to the county internet and find it easily. I'm not hiding anything, because I can't be held accountable for what I do if you don't know what I'm doing.
Absolutely. In our county, everybody has, really big plans, what they want to do and how they're going to do it. But the county executive role is ultimately about governance.
Right.
It's about managing agencies, setting priorities, and building coalitions.
Yep.
What's your approach to governing, and how will you ensure you're focusing on the right things in this job? And with that mindset of building a Prince George's County for the future.
Right. And this is where, when you talk about governing, this is where I distinguish myself from legislators. Legislators write the law. They pass the law. Yes, as the county executive, I know I got veto power. And we've only used that in Prince George's County one time now of record. I intend to, and I will, this is an absolute promise, work very closely with the county council to ensure that we enact ordinances in the county that work best for the county and for its people. My role in governance is to execute what the county council says it wants. I recognize as county executive, I can make recommendations, and those recommendations will come from implementation. The elderly tax credit. It ain't working. We can't make it work. So we need to recommend certain adjustments in that law so that it does work. The stuff that, in my mind, the county executive does really is low-hanging fruit. The county council has the hard job, because they got to pass the rules that we got to live by.
Right.
It's not the county executive. My job is easy. I just make recommendations. They say yes or no, and then I come back and say, well, I'm going to trump that yes, or agree with that yes. I'm going to trump that no, but they still can overrule my no. So I'm just literally executing the plan that they put together. But I understand that the two branches of government have to work hand in hand, because we're all working for the best interests of the people.
Absolutely. And that was really a great segue into my next question, because I wanted to ask, the county executive role involves balancing executive duties with political realities, including dealing with the county council, state officials, and other stakeholders, including developers. How do you plan to navigate these relationships while staying focused on your agenda?
Yes, I will work with and can work with anybody. Um, I keep my personal business separate from my professional business. I've never built friendships solely on professional relationships. That's dangerous. And so anybody working with me, when I have on the hat of county executive, will have to understand this is business. And my business is to advocate for and do what's in the best interest of the people of Prince George's County. Full stop. I will consider special interests. That is important. They play a role in our community. I cannot cater to special interest because I will do the people a major disservice. If you know me as a friend, and when we're acting as a friend, I don't talk business. We can't because you blur the lines. And so I'm going to be your different type of elected official in Prince George's County. I know how to turn it on and turn it off. I know how to draw boundaries, and we're going to keep those boundaries in place because I have to in order to remain an effective and an objective leader for the people.
Yeah. And I love that because, and that's another quality trait I believe we learned in the military,
Yes.
having to manage and compartmentalize and how to work with people who you absolutely cannot stand. Because I know for sure, hey, I'm gonna be real, and that's just, you just do what you got to do, because the mission is the most important thing of
Mm-hmm,
all. And,
mm-hmm.
I understand that, Prince George's County needs someone who is mission focused, and
Yes.
on the seat in this county, rather focusing on whatever their next move is.
Right.
Strategic leadership is about shaping a vision. Tactical leadership is about delivering results.
Mhm.
What major challenge you tackle strategically, and one that you'd handle tactically if elected county executive?
One of the things I know we'll have to handle strategically is our development. We have Prince George's County Plan 2035 that is currently being implemented.
Mhm,
Um, Strategically, I don't think it's a good plan.
mhm,
I don't think it was well thought out because in the tactical implementation of it, guess what? We don't have enough classroom seats for all of the babies we're bringing into the county. The schools that we have are falling apart, and we don't have the money to renovate and upgrade them. We don't have the funds to widen roads where they need to be widened because we're bringing more houses and more cars. We're talking about walkable spaces and walkable communities, but in that, we're not providing enough grocery stores and shopping facilities for those walking communities. And so the vision is nice. The tactical implementation ain't going so well. So one of the challenges we have to deal with is that 2035 plan. We got to address it.
right.
The other problem
And
with 2030,
so, really, really quick on that, I want to ask, um, is it the plan or is it the execution of it? Because the plan, details some of the many things that you just mentioned, but how people have executed over the years may not be in line with actually what the plan is, and we've seen that on the
right?
county council as well. So, what do you have to say about that?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. And you're right. That the plan is a part of the problem as well as the execution. And I say the plan is a problem is a part of the problem because it started with I think it was 2020 and we've modified it a couple times. We went from 2020 to 2025 to 2035. And part of it's because we've not accomplished the goal that was laid out in those three versions, if you will, of the plan. So part of it is the plan. I think the initial thought process and planning behind it wasn't well developed. And you know the saying, garbage in, garbage out. So now the implementation is also broken because we should have evaluated our roads. We should have evaluated our schools. We should have understood what it was going to take to build new housing developments in rural areas we'd never built before. Um, we haven't taken into consideration effectively the environmental impact, and now it's reverberating on us. So all of that now is causing problems. So we gotta retreat and regroup, in my mind, to
I
use
know that's
military
right.
term.
And I want to ask, you've committed the you've committed to leading the charge to fix Prince George's, but leadership often means making unpopular decisions. If faced with a choice between increasing revenue through taxes or cutting programs, where would your priorities lie?
You again hit the nail on the head, my brother. Being a leader is never popular. That's why they say it's lonely at the top. You have to make hard decisions, and you will never make everybody happy. It's just not possible.
Mhm,
And so when you talk about the choice between cuts and taxes, there's going to have to be a little bit of both. Um, and I say that because there's already a plan in place to start increasing the taxes. I mean, I just talked about the fact we just got our new tax assessments projected out to 2027. Um, to come in at this point and put a stop to it or a block to it could be detrimental. So that's not something I can do immediately and feel comfortable about. I got to do some evaluating. And so we're going to experience the continued tax increases until I can get a full handle on what's happening with our budget and our spending. And oh, by the way, I only got 18 months to do it
yeah,
because
but
this ain't a
really,
4 year term.
so are you talking about the assessed value and the assessed
Mhm.
value going up? Because the
Yes.
formula isn't changing, so we're not increasing the taxes in that manner.
Correct. We got to look at the assessed value and how we calculate the assessed value. Trim does not allow us to change the formula.
Mhm,
But when you get that statement and the value of your house keeps going up, that is natural, yes. But we need
mhm,
to look at how we're calculating the assessed value on homes,
mhm,
because if you know how property taxes are calculated, and I kind of understand that, that's the number you play with when you want to increase the taxes without saying I increased your taxes,
mhm,
because it's a multiplication formula. 20% of $100 is less than 20% of $150, if you get what I'm saying.
mhm,
Okay. So we got to look at that. We're doing it, can't stop it right away. We got to deal with it because we still got bills to pay. And yes, I'm going to have to make cuts. I'm going to have to look at staff. That's the one thing the county exec has exclusive control over under the county charter.
mhm.
I'm gonna have to look at the organizational structure of the executive branch, and I got to reorganize. And let me tell you, if it's top heavy, I always say top heavy, we gotta go. I need my foot soldiers because those are where the experts lie.
Yeah, but you're going
It's
to have
at
to
the
cut
top.
more than just personnel in order to
Oh
close,
yeah.
that gap. So, we
Oh,
definitely have to
absolutely.
look at how things go. And you said you won't tell residents we don't have the money in the budget. But if elected, you will inherit a budget with limitations and pre-existing commitments. How will
Mhm.
you approach tough decisions when there is simply not enough money to fund, the things that you want to accomplish?
Couple things we do. Um, I don't like saying there's not money in the budget because where there's a will, there's a way.
Mom used to say that too. How to feel about that?
So first of all, for new programs, one of the things I believe in government is you create a new program, there's got to be an old program you don't need anymore. So it's got to go. So you take the funding from your old program and you appropriate it to your new program. Sometimes you can cover the bill. In our case, we know we're gonna be short about $180 million, I think it's projection for this year. So there may not be money to do that. So that's where grants come into play. And grants come from different places. They're government grants, they're also private grants. We have to start applying for those. And I can tell you, looking at what I've seen, we're not good at applying for those grants that are offered constantly. And so I'm going to go out there and get the new money that currently exists as we attempt to build that commercial tax base to bring in new revenue.
Okay. And as you just mentioned, and you stated before, you'll build a cabinet of experts to secure federal grants. Okay, but here's the problem with that. The county already gets federal grants. The issue isn't about getting the money, it's about spending it effectively. What makes you think your administration will be any different? Where's the plan to make sure that the money gets used where it's needed the most?
Uh, I was trained under this thing called the Anti-Deficiency Act. That does not exist in Maryland, okay? That's a federal thing. Under federal law, federal funds have a purpose, a time, and an amount. PTA, and you don't violate those. When you apply for federal grants, even though you're not a federal entity, PTA still applies. I'm going to stick to that and I'm going to apply that to Prince George's County spending, even though I know we have not done that in the past. So if the grant comes in and the grant is for schools, the money will go to the schools. I'm not going to take monies intended for our school system and use it for our roads. That's not how I was trained in government operations and government financing.
Okay. And one of the executives' role is to shape the long-term vision of the county. Where do you see, what do you see as the top three priorities for Prince George's over the next 18 months? Not, excluding the budget, because that's a given. And how
Yes,
will your administration set the groundwork for achieving them?
I'm going to lay it to you plain. Top three, budget is critical. And we got to tackle that. And my intent on tackling that, and we can do this in 18 months because we have to, is to build a sports and entertainment tax base. And why do I know I ain't got but 18 months to do it? My lease expires in 2027. So you damn real. Day one, I'm going to see the commanders. I have to get to Mr. Harrison.
Mhm.
I got to fight to keep them here. Now, the implementation of that is going to take a little bit longer, but if I can get the commitment in that first 18 months, we got something to work on towards the future.
Yeah.
Sports and entertainment built around that commander's campus. Yes, that's one. The second thing is our schools. The governor just put a pause on the blueprint, and I'm heartbroken about that. I don't want to put a pause on Prince George's County's responsibility under the blueprint. So I got to look at our budget, and I'm going to work very closely with the superintendent and the school board. Hopefully, they will look at their budget to see if there's a way we can continue to implement the blueprint, even though the state says we don't have to. We got home rule here. We can do what we need to do to educate our children. So that's the second priority. And my hope is in working with the school system, building our commercial tax base, we'll have that money to put into our school system to keep growing under that blueprint. And then the third thing is to establish more stability and transparency in our government.
Thank you for
That's
joining Cat Chat.
critical.
That is our thing, accountability and governance. So,
Yes.
but,
So those are my top three priorities day one. Day one. That's
mhm,
what I'm going to hit the road doing day one.
okay. And this is a touchy subject because you've testified, you've advocated, and you cry for change. Yet you say you lost hope and even considered leaving. And that's powerful. But here's the question. If you say you struggle to make change as an advocate, what makes you think you'll succeed as the county executive when you are faced even more challenges, resistance, and setbacks? And that includes from constituents too.
Mhm. Um, Different position, different authority,
Mhm.
and you also have a seat at a different table. As a voter, as a constituent, as an advocate, I can yell to the top of my lungs all day long.
Mhm.
The one thing that frustrated the hell out of me is every time I go see somebody in Annapolis, they say, well, how many people agree with you? What difference does it make? I'm one vote. That's the difference.
Mhm.
As your county executive, I'm not one vote anymore. I'm 947,430 people. And out of those 947,430 people, I am about 500,000 votes.
Mhm.
I got a bully pulpit in Prince George's County. And so if I say they ain't working with me and the voters like me, guess what happens? You see how that power shifts
Mhm.
when you're in an elected position. And unfortunately, there's some of our elected officials who understand that and some of them who don't. Well, I understand that, and I will use it to get what Prince George's County needs to make us better and to make us stronger.
Yeah. And speaking of something that the county needs, or to make us stronger, uh, one of the an additional duties the executive will have is to prioritize funding and programs that reflect the county's greatest needs. Do you see your administration focusing more on expanding affordable housing, improving public transportation, or addressing public health disparities? And how will you measure how will you measure the outcomes for your choosing priority?
Do you know that's the stuff that keeps me awake at night, Chairman?
Mm,
And
I know it. Me too.
those are things that make me go, why did I my name on the ballot again? Because all of those are pressing priorities. But you can't work on every priority at the same time. There's just one of me, limited
Mhm.
resources. The beauty of it is, though, I will have a team, a government of people, and each agency will have its own respective priority to work on. The Board of Education is to focus on education. That's their priority. My job is to help them get it done. I understand as a county executive, I hired a superintendent. That's the power of the law. So I'm not going to leave that superintendent, even though the superintendent is already in place. I'm not going to leave him out there by himself. I'm going to work with him to help him get his job done. But that's his focus, and I'm going to let him do what he was hired to do. Healthcare, we got to deal with that as well. But we have a director of health on the team. Director of health, that's your priority. I need you to work it. That means we need to focus on helping the University of Maryland hospital system get us qualified, skilled, educated doctors in that building so we can reduce the wait times in that emergency room. We got to deal with the stresses that our nurses are dealing with to relieve those so we can keep quality medical care in this county. We also need to look at expanding that. I want to work with Adventist Healthcare because I know they want to build a trauma center out here on 210. I want to know why it stalled. Let's get it done. Um, Public safety. I, I got, I'll have a deputy chief administrative officer for public safety. That's your job. That's your priority. Get it done. Make sure our police department is up to par. We got to get recruiting back on track. Work with our fire department. Make sure we're covered for emergencies. So all of these priorities are going to get hit. How does it get hit? It gets hit with every directorate under my umbrella.
Okay. And you've emphasized the need for a strong and qualified CEO for the public school system. What specific qualifications or experience would you prioritize and select the next CEO?
And the next, but we now call him the superintendent. I
Oh,
like that term.
okay, superintendent,
I like
right?
that term better. Because our school system is not a corporation. We can't run
Mhm.
it that way. It doesn't raise money for itself. And so our superintendent has to, one, have an education background and has to understand what it takes to educate children. And I'm going to go a step further and say our superintendent needs to understand what it takes to educate minority children. Almost 50% of our public school population right now is Hispanic. I would love to have a bilingual superintendent. That would be a positive. I also need a superintendent who has strong administrative, budgetary, and managerial skills. Gotta have it. I love teachers. I think teachers are great. Teachers are grown and progressed to be administrators. So I need a top-notch administrator to handle PGCPS because it is just as large as the county. We have 220 schools. We're building new schools. And now we've taken a big chunk of our school system budget to build schools. I need somebody who's strategic, tactical, creative, and almost damn near radical to make sure we get it done efficiently and effectively.
Thank you. And you stated fixing the P3 contract for school construction, that you wanted to fix that. But isn't it a little too late for that? The deal is done
No,
and
sir.
taxpayers are stuck with it. What's your
No,
plan
sir.
to ensure that we're not throwing good money after bad?
I can't let my cat out the bag just yet, but it's never too late. That is a contract, and I have studied that document a couple of times now. I see vulnerabilities. There are violations of the law, and a contract that violates the law is voidable.
Yeah,
We're gonna
and
have to
especially,
we're gonna have to deal with this.
how will you deal with that in your administration? Because there are several departments, according to audits, that have contractual issues and procurement issues and stuff like that. What is it that you're going to do? Because I mean, you said you're going to delegate those responsibilities to tell, your deputy chiefs to get it done. But how will you ensure that? Because the bulk starts with you.
Absolutely. Buck stops with me. So first and foremost, I'm a skilled, trained attorney. So I got a keen eye for things. Do I micromanage? No, I'm not going to micromanage. I don't have time. But I will be keeping a very keen and close eye on everything that's going on, especially those areas where I have major concerns about the legality of what's happening in this county. Number two, I need a strong office of law because, yes, we may be legally challenged on some of the things that I have picked up on in some of our contracts and procurement projects. Because, yes, I see some things that don't comport with state law. I got questions. And so if we can't renegotiate these terms, there may be litigation. And it's expensive to hire outside counsel. And again, now we're talking about greater expenditures of money we don't have. So I need a team internally who are strong enough to handle it.
And you've mentioned several ambitious goals, especially with education. But the county executive authority is limited in certain areas, like education and policing. Can you tell us how you plan to work within those limits while still making
Yes.
good on those promises?
And when it comes to education, my biggest role as the county executive is advocacy.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it's the Board of Education's responsibility under the law to oversee and manage our education system. I acknowledge that. I also understand that Board of Education members are elected from the public and they may not have the wealth of knowledge and experience that I bring to the table. I'm willing to share that and advocate with them, stand with them, hold their hands, testify, do what needs to be done. Help write grants, all of that, because it's a part of our community that we need it to make the community work, period. And so whatever resources that I have as the county executive, I'm willing to share with the Board of Education to make sure our children get the best. None of this ain't my responsibility talk. It's all my responsibility.
Mhm.
Policing, same thing. I understand we got a sheriff's department that is run by a constitutional officer in the name of the sheriff. We also have a county police department, and the police chief is responsible to the county executive. Well, we're gonna have to sit down and have a discussion about how we work together as a team to ensure a safe community for all Prince Georgians. Again, like you said, is building alliances, partnerships, and collaborations to work toward a common goal.
Okay. And speaking of building alliances, at one point let's talk about the state because at one point you said that Maryland doesn't always help Prince George's County.
Nope.
What's your plan to work with a state government that might not always see eye to eye with your vision for the county? And if they say no, how will you ensure that you get your vision implemented?
I am not afraid to go to Annapolis. Got 90 days to advocate for, before, on behalf of. And I'm willing to do that as much as I need to do that and send representatives from the county to do it on our behalf. And again, it's not about hiring lobbyists to do it. People do that all the time, but you're spending money we don't have to spend. We should have experts in our county government who can speak on behalf of our county's needs. And if they can't, that's a problem for me. Why are you in the job? Why are we paying you six figures and you can't go as a director and testify in Annapolis about what Prince George's County needs? That's a no-no under my administration. The first people to speak on behalf of Prince George's County is those of us who've been selected, hired, affirmed to work in our government. We know best. We know best. So, yes, I expect members of my administration to go to Annapolis and advocate for what we need. We have not done that successfully in Prince George's County. How do I know? Because when I was on the state PTA board, I walked through the halls. And when they say, you from Prince George's County? Why is that a shocker? Y'all act like Prince George's County doesn't come here. What are you talking about? Well, we're going to be there. We're going to go and beg and plead and borrow and fight for every resource that's been promised to us under federal law and state law.
Yeah, yeah. And the county executive's role with creating partnerships, in the business community, um, with community organizations and other government agencies and entities. Would your administration prioritize attracting major corporations to boost the local economy, supporting small businesses, or fostering public-private partnerships for infrastructure development?
All of the above.
Mhm.
Yes, I am looking to recruit new industries and trades into Prince George's County. The state has a phenomenal program that will allow businesses to get credits
Mhm.
for having apprenticeships.
Mhm.
Let's recruit some of those businesses that we know can offer apprenticeship opportunities for our students right here to Prince George's County. And this is the thing. I know you can't go to Las Vegas to a trade show to get them to come here. So with our Economic Development Corporation, I'm going to encourage them to go visit these headquarters to say, he needs you to come see us. One-on-one
That
meetings.
one-on-one FaceTime. Hmm.
That's it. Because that's how you get them to come to your community. It's not by going to a trade show. They don't respond to that. Um, I'm also going to work with the industries that are already here to encourage them to expand and to grow and offer more opportunities for our youth who need jobs. And yes, I want them to partner with our small businesses to help them expand and grow, and not just in word, but also in deed.
Yeah. And how do you, and speaking of attracting business, how do you feel about balancing the community needs with the jobs that they want in the areas that they want? Because as we've seen what happened in Westphalia, they didn't want, Amazon to come to their location. So, exactly how will you attract businesses, but also let the community know that this is for our benefit?
You know, Westphalia could have been a very simple success. All the county had to do was ask Amazon to build a grocery store. I listened to all that fighting and all those arguments. And the biggest thing that community wanted was a grocery store. That came out of everybody's freaking mouth. Y'all promised us a grocery store.
Yeah, I mean that area is
It's a food desert.
it's
It's a
over
food
there,
desert.
and there is nothing on that stretch. So I mean, I do understand that, and they were promised
It's
that,
called
you know.
compromise.
Mhm.
Compromise. All we had to do as a county is ask Amazon to build Amazon Fresh, bring us a Whole Foods because they own Whole Foods now, build us a grocery store. And alongside your grocery store, we'll let you have your warehouse and distribution center. Now, does that mean you got to build a bigger parking lot? Yep, you got to build a parking lot for cars. Yep, you're going to have to build a little road, some good roads in there for people to get in and out. You got big trucks. Yeah, but I think if the county had said, if we bring you a grocery store, would that make you happy? It would have, I think it would have calmed the savage beast. It's called listening and then broker a compromise.
Mhm.
It's a win-win for everybody. We
Yeah.
lost a phenomenal opportunity there. Those are the types of opportunities I
Well,
do not
let's not
intend to.
oversimplify because I mean most people did want a grocery store, but then there were others who were complaining about traffic and noise, and other things like that as well.
There's
So.
way and again that you addressed all of that.
Mhm.
There you build sound walls. 210. When they started expanding 210, the Kirby Hill Road interchange, what did they do? They built a sound barrier. It ain't pretty, but it took away the noise of the traffic. So we have to learn to compromise in the community. I'm going to give you a little bit of what you want so that we can get what we need because we lost jobs, we lost economic growth because that distribution center is not there. It's not there.
Mhm. Mhm. And we're going to get ready to close out, but I do want Prince George's County to understand your vision. What is your long-term vision for the county, and how will you measure your success as county executive?
Long-term vision is a thriving, growing, bustling Prince George's County. And I don't think we have to destroy communities to make that happen. We can revitalize Prince George's County, but we're going to have to roll back some limitations and restrictions that we placed on ourselves that have hurt us. It's hurt us. Nobody wants to come and visit and tour and, and recreationally spend time in Prince George's County unless you live here. We have to change that. We have to make our community more inviting for others to come in, because it's not us who's got to maintain our economy. Our economy will grow if we invite others in and let them spend their money with us. Yes, sir. So we have to make the community more inviting for others to come and visit, not just because I got family who live there, so I'm going for the Christmas holidays. That's not enough. Because when others come and invest in your community, it opens the doors so our youth can have jobs and flourish. They don't have to carjack because now they got a job that's going to help them pay the bills. They don't have to steal to get what they need, because I don't believe anybody steals for fun. They do it to fill a need. So to fill a need, we've got to partner with the outside world.
Yeah.
And if we do it right now, in 5 years, 10 years, I think Prince George's County will look differently. We cannot do it on our own anymore.
Undoubtedly. And with that in mind, I want you to go ahead and give us a closing statement. We're gonna. I truly appreciate you for coming in. Do you have any last remarks
Yes.
for the viewers today?
I am a proud Prince Georgian. Am I always proud of what we do? No. Am I always proud of what we get? No. There is good here. There are good people here, and I'm one of them. I'm just like you. I'm just like the elders in the community. All I want is a good life, a comfortable home. I tell everybody this is not about Tonya anymore. I've had my successes and I'm good. This is about helping our community, Prince George's County, be what we hold it out to be: a wonderful place to live, to grow, to raise a family, to retire. So if Prince George's County will have me, all I want to do is give to you the experience, the skills that I've learned from the United States Air Force, from the federal government, from my time as a PTA leader, from my time as a mom. I'm going to give them to you to make Prince George's County the gorgeous community we know it can be. And when my time is done, I'm going to retire. I'm going to ride off into the sunset with my husband, let the rest of my hair turn gray, and say, y'all, we done good. Life is, I'm good with it. I'm
Y'all
good with
got
it.
it.
Yep, y'all got it. I ain't trying to hold on to this forever, because all I want to do is set up the next generation to take it and carry it even further. So I am you, Prince George's County. I see myself in every single one of us. And if you see just a little bit of you and me, we put that together, magic happens.
Awesome,
Magic
awesome.
happens.
Awesome. And that wraps up our conversation with Tonya Sweat. As Prince George's County gears up for this crucial election, it is vital to stay informed and engaged. Thank you for tuning in to CAG Chat. Stay with us for more interviews with the candidates shaping the future of our community. Thank you so much, Tonya.
Thank you.